Fire Radio.
Sabres hockey. We'll start with that. We're live. We're up. We're ready to go. Buffalo Sabres. You're rocking your hat today. I know your wife does work for the organization, right? So you got to represent.
They help pay the bills. I gotta represent.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sean Eagen, welcome back to the show, my man. This has been a long time coming. I miss your face. I don't get to see you that often. So when I do get to hang out with you for a few, I do enjoy it very much. But how you been, my friend?
Very well. They always used to say I had a face for radio, and then you turn this thing into video. So now we're screwed. So
yeah, we used to just do this like over the phone or you know, never video.
I didn't have to worry about stupid faces. You know, I don't have a poker face, so when I'm talking about something, I totally wear my emotions on my face. So it gets me in trouble sometimes with people. But
you and me both. And after doing 500 and something of these episodes, I still have not figured out, you know, how to check my emotion at times, and so I get in trouble as well. But listen, man, we're not perfect, and that's what makes us unique in who we are. So, man, good to see you. I know you've got a lot going on. Just a little recap: captain up in Buffalo, New York, tough town. It's a fire town. You guys have been seeing a lot of fire duty, and so on. And we've just gotten to know each other over the last few years, and it's just been a lot of fun. But like I said, I don't get to see you enough. So I know you saw my man Sebi not too long ago.
I did. That was awesome. It was an unfortunate situation for him, turned into a fortuitous, nice little dinner. We had a quick dinner when he was here, and that's a pretty funny story.
Let's just say that sums up who Sebi is in a nutshell. Yeah. And for those that are listening, Sebi is he's my producer. He does the majority of the editing for National Fire Radio and a lot of the projects and so on. But man, there's always something up with this guy. I love him. It was his birthday yesterday, by the way.
I did see it.
Yeah. So, but there's always it's always something with him, and every time I talk to him, something's wrong. Hot water heater breaks, car breaks down. We're going on a trip, and my fiance forgot to check her passport, so now we got to go to Buffalo to get a 24-hour passport. It's crazy.
A 7-hour drive to get your passport is true love, man. That marriage is destined to succeed.
Yeah, I agree, man. They're perfect for each other, to be honest. I think it's great. But no, he's a trip, and he said to me, he's like, I got to go up to Buffalo and get the passport. We didn't realize and this and that. I'm like, yep, here we go, Sebi story. Yeah. And then he's like, I saw Sean, and I go, oh, no shit. So I'm glad you guys got together.
Yeah, we went to Bada Bing, nice restaurant downtown. Had some local fare for him.
Awesome.
But it was fun. Yeah, just a little hour. I was working, so I think I was just working a day trick that day, so I got out at 5, and they probably arrived 45 minutes or so prior, and so it worked out perfect. We went right by their hotel. They were right down the road from the passport place. I haven't heard from them, but I saw some photos of the trip they were going on, so I assume they made it. Unless
they did.
With AI, you never know what's true anymore.
That is very true, man. We do live in an augmented reality these days, for sure.
God bless you. Yes, we do.
How is Buffalo? Is Buffalo like on the up? Is it become gentrified? Is it starting to see more restaurants cleaning up some of the areas, or is it what's?
Yeah. So, we kind of get this funny bad rep, like all our city sucks, the weather, blah, 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 but it's a great place. We certainly have our neighborhoods that are still struggling, but
right.
The cool thing about Buffalo is 15 years ago, let's say, me and my wife were going out to the theater, and it's like, okay, well, we're going to go to this place again because it's the only restaurant. And now there's 25 restaurants that we want to try that we haven't gotten to, or 25 bars or breweries. And so it's really, really on an upswing. And one of the big murals floating around in downtown Buffalo, it says real big on the side of the building, keep Buffalo a secret, because it's a really good town, great people. Our weather sucks. The winter, it blows. Excuse the expression. It does. It's just like,
I remember last winter was brutal, was it not?
Oh God, yeah, it was horrible. And the last 3, but last winter was real bad because we were out of town when the snow hit. So when we get those blizzards like that, you have to nip it. Even if it's still snowing, you got to get out there and clear to get the driveway so that you're not dealing with 6-7 feet of snow when So I was gone. We were in Chicago for volleyball with my son, my wife and I, and my son. and the snow hit, and it just, I'm looking at our Ring doorbell, and our daughter was home from school.
Piling up.
It was nuts. Like, and I'm trying to, and of course, the way the cars were situated in the driveway, you couldn't get the snowblower past the fence. So the kids were like, I said, you're just going to have to do what you can do. And then we came home. We were able to get home Monday, and it was just,
What do we do without Dad at home?
Oh my Lord. And, and the snow, Jared, I'm telling you, like, I think it was Thursday, and I was like, if it doesn't stop fucking snowing, like,
right?
I'm going to. So Thursday, I was supposed to go to the firehouse. The snow hit again. I called the chief. I'm like, I can't get out of my driveway. And I could have, because I have a 4-wheel drive truck, but my daughter's home. She has to get to work. My wife's home. She has a 4-wheel drive too, but I just can't do it. I'm not coming in today. So get them out, the whole thing, get it all cleaned, ready to go. Driveway's clear, perfect. Walk out of the door, get into my truck, shut the door. The gutters fall down on the side of my
off the house.
Yeah, because the same thing. Like, because the snow piled up, the water. We have 6-inch gutters because I have a metal roof.
Yeah,
and all the gutters just came crashing down. Now, thankfully, the dog wasn't out or nobody was in the yard because they would have been dead. It hit a chunk of ice, hit my daughter's car, which was in the, and it just put. I mean, it was like $2,000. We had to basically replace her whole hood. So. It sucks, but the city's great. I
gotta ask you a question before we move on. I love metal roofs. Love them. Absolutely love the look of them. Do you hear the rain?
Yes, but
that's what I've always wondered.
But it's not like you'd think, right? It's not an annoying. So we have off of our bedroom, we have an old. It used to be years ago like an old sunroom off of our daughter's room. Now it's just part of her room, but there's a small little hip roof there. And when it's a nice rain, April, whatever, when it's warm enough to have the windows open, just listening to it pitter pat, like, I don't know, pitter patter is the right word, but you know what I mean. And it's relaxing. It's not annoying or obnoxious because there's still a good gap. They lay these 1x3 furring strips down and
right. I was always curious. I love the look of. I love the look of.
Oh yeah, and ours is I don't know, cocoa brown it's called or whatever, and so it matches the.
You're so metro.
The guy told me bronze, and he shows up, and I'm like, that don't look fucking bronze to me, bro. But we've had it. We got it during COVID, and we love it. It's great.
Good.
And
cool.
Yeah, all the stuff you hear about is nonsense. I've been to fires on metal roofs. They're no more difficult than any other roof. You just got to break through the metal. You can do that
on a residential metal.
Of course, Yeah, mine are they're paper thin.
Just to clarify, because somebody's
right. Yeah, I don't
what
want
are you
somebody
talking about?
Yeah, that's not what I meant. Yeah, I don't mean exactly. I'm not talking about your big factories
metal
downtown.
decking. Yeah,
no, that's not what I meant. Yeah, I mean these little residential. Yeah, thank you for. I don't need the people coming.
No worries. I mean, you've only ridden a truck for how many years now?
18 or more, probably.
I love it.
Was all in.
Yeah. So Buffalo's the restaurants. You got plenty of opportunities now. So you guys, there's things are happening there, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's great.
Good.
There's a whole new area of like it seemed like years ago the private money started coming back in.
Yeah.
And development happened, and it just took off. And
you said it before, like, keep Buffalo a secret, right? Like, that happens with everything. It's like you find a band that you absolutely love,
exactly.
And then all of a sudden they become, like, mainstream popular, and now you don't like them anymore. It's just not the same, right? It's the same with restaurants, right? All of it, yeah.
Yeah, nobody used to come here. Now I got to wait for a table. This is nonsense, but
I agree.
It's great, and the whole. We have our issues, it's like everywhere else in the country. The housing market's out of control. These, kids can't buy a home. My son's trying to save up to buy a house, and I'm not getting into the politics of it all. I'm just saying the way, like all our young firefighters, anyone hired after 2013, have to maintain a city residence for their whole career. And these kids can't find houses.
The salary doesn't. The salary doesn't match the cost of living for the city, and for cities to require their people to live within their boundaries, they have to look at that in an honest conversation and say, how can they afford to do that, especially walking in as a probie?
Yeah, making 35 or 40 grand, whatever they make it.
Yeah,
and, it's the city itself still. Well, we're going through it now, but they've always had. Historically, like if I told you what they pay in property taxes, you'd probably shit. But it's finally kind of catching up. But the interest rate spikes haven't helped anything. Kids
Right.
can't find apartments. It's
Right.
a good problem and a bad problem, right? The only people that can afford these houses are these big companies that buy them and rent them out, and then so like where I
I
live
get it.
is a first ring suburb of Buffalo. So the street behind me, half of it becomes the city, and I'm in West Seneca. And
Okay.
the difference is, that mine looks like a Buffalo neighborhood. You know what I mean? We don't
Yeah,
have
right.
a subdivision. It's just a street, but the difference in property taxes is crazy. So
I'm sure.
but it's all
I'm
changing
sure.
now. And of course that's, they're finally kind of catching up to where you have to, everybody, the taxes are going up a little bit in the city, but
Yeah.
otherwise,
Is your first due for truck 4? Is that similar to? Is it a residential neighborhood, or do you have a mix of everything in your first due?
really big mix, very much residential. And then once, the Elmwood Strip, which is one of our big entertainment districts, is right in our first due. Well, most of the Elmwood Strip. So there you get, your old school old type threes that have been around for 100 years, have been renovated and changed. And then you also have your newer, the type twos that they're throwing up, that your Dollar Generals, your Rite Age and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, but the interesting thing about where my first due, I come out of the firehouse, I turn left, I'm turning onto Richmond Avenue, and the homes are $800,000 homes. I turn right, and I'm heading into the lower west side, and it's ghetto.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of that is changing, but the disparity in our district, and that's what's so fun about it. The west side sure has its a lot of the way the city grid runs. The streets get real confusing. Even my driver's been these guys been on the rig, chauffeur, been on the rig 6, 7, 8 years, and they still like, wait a second, what's the best way to get to X street? Because everything's one way. Streets are tight as hell. And we got rid of all our tillers years ago, so
Yes.
it makes the response a little bit difficult. But we have a really, really good mix in our first due, and it's pretty cool. You see a little bit of everything. Yeah, it's a really good.
I love going from the larger square footage, private, residential, where you got, a little bit, tree lined streets, if you will, with Tudors and Queen Anne's and every type of homes you can imagine, right? Which presents a lot of different building construction problems, knee walls, void spaces, all that type of stuff. And I know that Buffalo is not afraid to go to the roof, not afraid to open up. And so, it's, and then if you turn right, you're going down into the neighborhoods where, you probably got more exposure issues. You got, commercial, residential over commercial, that type of stuff. That's fun, right? When your district is so, varied in where you're heading to, that's got to make for it makes for a lot of conversation, especially with the crew. Yeah.
Yeah. We do that a lot. We spend a lot of time, we have someone has an EMS call, and we'll have a, commercial, just a smells and bells type of call in a building. And I'm like, man, we got to come back here and check this place out, because there's just too many. I haven't been able to get into a lot of the buildings in our first due, because there's just so many that I want to explore. These are residential. Some don't have sprinklers, some do, some don't have standpipes, some do, because they're so old. And a lot of, let's be honest, it happens in every city. Sometimes, people do this when somebody's trying to make some renovations, right? And
they're improving the neighborhood. We'll turn a blind eye.
Yeah, and then, we go down into Forest Avenue. It's the Richardson Complex. It's the old Buffalo Psychiatric Center. They've renovated most of that. It's a boutique hotel now and a wonderful restaurant. But these buildings are monstrous and terrifying. My first fire ever, and it had to be, I guess, probably this time, 1998, was in the Buffalo Psychiatric Center, this 400 Forest. And I couldn't get in, so I climbed an aerial. I was at truck 12. I climbed an aerial into a window, and it was like padded room window, like padded room, like padded walls room. I was like, what did I sign up for here?
You
This is,
belong there. What
I
are you
did not,
kidding
yeah,
me?
right. Yeah.
You're like, I'm
Little did I
home.
know. Yeah. Little did I know that, but it's a really great district. I have a great crew. The guys and the battalion chief's in our house. So the 4th battalion chief runs with us. So,
I remember our last conversation, which was a while back. I don't know how long ago it was. I would say
yeah, it's been a while.
probably a year or more. Yeah. You guys were dealing with a line of duty fire that had happened, and I remember talking with you, about being one of the more senior guys on the job, and how your job has trended younger. And I was just curious how you guys have come forward from that, because I know that was a tough time for you guys. I know that you had young guys under your command at the time, I believe, that were taking it pretty hard, and so on. So just curious how the Buffalo Fire Department has kind of bounced back, or what you've seen, or, because I think this is becoming a bigger and bigger issue in the fire service, when it comes to our senior people are becoming less and less. And as our senior people trend younger, the experience or just longevity on the job, which tends to season you a little bit more than, say, the next guy, we really need those voices of reason and common sense still on the job. And I'm just curious, like how you're doing and how your crews are doing.
So they everything happens, like cyclical, right? We have not implemented any massive changes yet,
right?
And I don't want to get into much about it.
No, I'm not looking for that.
The reports haven't been released. The NIOSH report hasn't been released, and we're approaching 2 years here now. And obviously there's litigation. I have nothing to do with that, but my point being is that I feel like that's part of the reason. We have made some operational changes internally. The chiefs have gotten together and they really are doing a good job. Somebody's read the reports. So some things that were in the reports are starting to fall into place. And you see a lot more focus on, as a matter of fact, what we're currently doing right now is everybody's going through firefighter survival training. The county here has these different trailers with, I keep playing with that broken thing, has different trailers they set up that departments can use for free. And they have a forcible entry trailer, for example, it has a door in it and has a bunch of, like, a cutting station, and they have this survival trailer. So it's wall breach, it's soft stairs, it's confined space, it's the entanglement props, and it's a bailout. So the department's running through that, and basically the training bureau is bringing the trailer in, they're picking a firehouse, and they're setting it up, and they're running each battalion through this thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things where people are grousing about it a little bit, but in the end, what they do, most people anyways, not all, if you're struggling with this thing in a controlled environment where somebody, an instructor or a training officer, is walking you through it, basically, maybe you need to look within yourself and do things a little differently on your day-to-day, so that, because, if you're ever in a situation, thinking Mayday scenarios where I'm going to breach 3 walls, I'm going to go through a tight tube, all that stuff to follow the hose line to get myself out. It's almost like probably better off to just sit tight and let us come to you type of thing. But it's still great training. It gets the guys working through, the swim move to get through the walls, the swim move to get under the wires, doffing your gear, doffing your tank, your escapes and partial escapes and full escapes. And it's great. So that's the biggest change. But again, operationally, you can see the chiefs are more, I don't want to say cautious, because that's not the word. But they're just more cognizant of who's going where. My crew, with a 26-and-a-half-year captain and 2 15-year firefighters, a 13-year firefighter, a 9-year firefighter, might get a little more wiggle room than your crew that has 3 people that are just fresh off probation. And so that's been changing a lot, and the onus has been put on the officers themselves on the company level. But again, so many of our officers we have people that were hired in 2016 that are officers now that are going to be captains soon. And 8 years is a long time, but is it really? You know what I mean? 8 years of
Yeah.
you go to a slow house. Unfortunately, most of these guys, we talked about this before, is just the way it works.
Yeah.
You
Luck
you
of the
end
draw.
up you end up as the academy class. If there's 50 people, they fill it from the top, and it's a great way to do it. So you're rewarded for doing well in the academy. You get to go to the finger quotes best spot, and then boom, 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 but more than half end up in the slow battalion working together, usually with newer officers. And the officers are still officers, and they have a job to do, but it takes a long time. I say it all the time. I feel like it takes 3 years to learn each rank, to
Sure.
feel comfortable enough that, and it's not the administrative junk. That's easy. You know what I mean? It's to learn each rank and make these calls at incidents and fires that you're not second guessing yourself. And so,
Well,
in terms of the changes, we're slowly rolling them out, but they've happened, but a lot of them aren't on paper yet.
yeah, I
It's
understand.
mostly attitude. It's mostly truck 4 was dispatched first due to that call, because there was another call going on downtown when Jason passed. Ended up getting their second due, but they were right in front of the building. Ariel was up and in position, and that was not my platoon. It was the first platoon, but so it hits everybody really, really hard. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
we hadn't
curious.
dealt-
What's encouraging though, from what you're saying, is that even before the reports have been issued internally, the guys know some things that need to be corrected or looked at, and
Yeah.
to have a command staff that is willing to unofficially make some changes or at least get conversation going means that they're open-minded to and not stuck in their way of how we've always done it. We're looking at and analyzing different things that we need to do better at.
100%.
Something you said that I think is super important is, we have to get out and meet our companies and know our people. We have to know the bosses, and we have to know the guys that are riding in the back seat and know where they are in their career to understand, if they can get a little more latitude on the fire ground. And I think that that's important, and that's where we have to get it out and away from our desks and out into the street to get to know our people and our companies, for sure.
And that's changed a lot. And we used to have the chiefs. We're spoiled because, again, the chief's in my firehouse, so it's coffee time every day.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And with all of them, a shift change, and but it used to be a thing. The chiefs were visiting daily or twice a week because they used to pick up the paperwork. We still have our pretty archaic paperwork and payroll
still
systems.
do. Yeah.
I mean, until recently, we used carbon paper, and I'm not joking.
Wow.
A couple years ago, we finally don't have to. Now the triplicate forms are fancy. They don't need they don't need the carbon paper. They're just fancy forms. But
right,
we
they're
still
all
do
put together.
Yeah, we still do a lot on paper, like old school way. Our overtime forms are little, 4x8.5 sheets. They get filled out by hand and signed by hand, and they go from my hand to the battalion chief to the division chief to headquarters.
It's wild.
So they used to be around a lot, and then all of a sudden that kind of changed, and that was when things started to kind of drift. Like the culture changed a little bit. Now this was years ago. None of the chiefs that are currently, most of the chiefs that are currently chiefs weren't chiefs yet when this change happened. But you could see that, someone get on the PA, chiefs in quarters, everybody drops whatever they're doing, comes in, and if it's a coffee talk for 2 minutes about, hey fellas, how's everybody doing? This is going on, just so you know, this new memo came out, or hey, we had an incident, and now you're starting to see that more often again, and it's good. And some people look at it as micromanaging. It's not. If you ever worked for a micromanager, when you're being micromanaged. You know what I mean? People being extra, and I don't want to keep using cautious because I'm not that smart. It's the only word I can think of, but extra cautious and extra, whatever, it isn't micromanaging. It's just nobody wants what happened to Jason to happen again.
That's right.
It's still, there's still a hole in this department, and there's still, every year, like we just had the FAM Foundation, the Firefighter Arnold Memorial Foundation, just had one of their charity events this past weekend, and it was a softball tournament for charity. And so again, that brings the families there, and everybody's around, and and it kind of reopens everything. And
They say it helps the healing, but it also makes you remember. And sometimes with remembrance comes the feelings come flooding in. There's no doubt.
The one thing that really, so far, the one major change, I want to make sure that I say this in case, again, people don't dog me out, but the mental health side of it and we always seem to go down this path, but just to say this, we have a behavioral health team now. We have the union put out a new peer support team.
Awesome.
These folks went to get the training that's required through the international. The department has a planning / behavioral health team, and it's available for you. There for years and years and years, the EAP person in the fire department was kind of, people were leery about talking to them because they didn't know. I'm going to tell you that I have an issue, and this guy's going to go right downtown, and that's just normal, department politics BS. But I think I've seen that really took. They got a grant. This officer's captain that's in charge of the planning and behavioral health team. He's available. People can come in. Bad calls. We had a horrible incident last week that actually involved a daughter of a retired firefighter, and half hour later a fatal fire related. So it's not a story I don't want to talk about.
No, I get it. Yeah,
but a lot
Tragedy.
of people a lot of people were affected, and even though we've always had the EAP, now it's more. Let's just say they're looking. They're paying attention more, and it's a phone call. Hey, Cap, how the guys and girls doing? Did we need to have a conversation? And so that was a big change so far, and that's a positive change for sure. We used to think that I'm invincible.
Yeah, we bury it. Yeah, we
100%.
bury it and move on. It's just part of the job. Just go. Yeah.
Until one day,
Unfortunately, we do. We all know, and we all probably know someone that
100%. Several someones.
Yeah. Well, I have to think that that's very welcome for you, especially as a captain who looks out for his people. I mean, I know how much you buy into your people and how important your guys are to you. Yeah. So to be able to have that resource available, and the fact that the union recognizes that and the department double downs on it, it's a home run.
Yeah, that's the one thing that the two sides haven't really butted heads. They're always fighting about an agreement on this and agreement on that, but it's always sort of bad because the union has always, for years, I mean, damn near 20 years, have had their own EAP person that they sponsored just because of the mistrust I told you about. But now everybody's working hand in hand, and it's working.
Good.
I can't make you go. I can't make you make that phone call, but more and more people are making it, and that's a good thing. So.
Well, let me ask you this: being a captain, I know you've been captain for a little bit now. You might have some future things in the works, and hopefully. So on, which is exciting. You talk about your crew. You mentioned it several times that you have your chauffeur and your backstep guys have years on the job.
Yeah.
What does that look like for a seasoned captain like you? 26 years, I think you said.
Yeah, 26.
Right. Yep. 26 years on the job in an urban department, and then you got backstep guys with 15 years, and I think you said 12 or something like that. Like
8. 8. But...
I mean, these are guys that have been around a while. It's got to be fun to have a cohesive company like that. I got to believe.
It totally is, and the best part about it is that you can do what my job is as the officer is to supervise, and I always kind of got dogged out because listen, nobody wants to supervise. I want to work. There's a door that needs to be forced. I want to force it. And
of course,
but having nobody that I have any apprehension about on the rig with me is huge. So when we're talking, second due truck on our boxes, the second due truck's job initially is to set up or anticipate vertical ventilation. So the four of us together, I bring the roof ladder to the guys, the two backseat guys, backstep guys bring the ground ladder, driver brings saw and whatever else. By the time the driver gets there after packing up, the ladder should be up and in position, and then boom, it's done. It's just, oh, wow, holy shit, we're ready to go. Yep. And that doesn't always happen on all crews, but to have a crew that, in my last crew at Truck 7 was the same way. I've been blessed really with really solid crews. Now, I love having new people, but I love having them a little at a time. So I would, if we were running a drill, and I do this a lot, Jerry, you're my guy on my crew, right? And here's what we're going to talk about today. What are we going to do? Why do we do it? Where do we do it? How, et cetera, all that stuff. And then I kind of step back and let you lead the drill. Not everybody's into it. A lot of people just want to be the back step guy and do their job. But those that want to promote, those that want to maybe get into teaching, it's an opportunity for them to speak up, and then it's coming from your peer, not from your captain. And it's been working really well, and I've gotten good feedback from the guys, my guys, and well, I say guys because my whole crew is all men right now, but they like it because they see things differently than I see it. One of the things that you notice is the longer you are an officer is you notice the minutia, the little shit that people can't understand. Like, how the hell did the first thing I look at you and I saw that you have the wrong shorts on, let's just say, oh, what are you wearing those freaking shorts for? Come on, be smarter than that. And everybody else has no idea what I'm talking. You start to focus on the minutia and you kind of lose, like one thing that drives me bonkers for some reason is when we're leaving the firehouse out on the street in the public, like backwards baseball caps, like, oh, this guy's a catcher. He's got a game in a little while, and I don't know why. It's a stupid pet peeve of mine, but, but in the end, like, letting the guys, the crews kind of lead these drills where I'm standing there, I'm still listening. And when we hot wash it at the end, I'm going to fill in any gaps that they might've had. I feel it's great for their development. And it's great for the new or the young firefighters development. Oftentimes, usually I'd say twice, 3 times, 4 times a year, the chief will have it set up where the whole battalion comes and drills with us. So I kind of have to lead. If we do a RIT stuff a lot, go over our RIT packs, we'll do maydays and bailouts, and even if we get into like defensive operations, ladder apparatus placements and spottings and things. So then I get all the crews to come through. So I have a whole new batch, the engines that we work with, and even the engines kind of on the other side of the battalion that when they go to fires, most of the time we're third due. So we don't really operate necessarily like this. Most of the time we're not crawling the same hallway, if you know what I mean, because the trucks from the other part of the city are coming over there. But it's really a good thing. And then secretly I learn everybody's skill set. And then as we're going to a call or a box with, engine 95 that doesn't exist, so I don't hurt anybody's feelings, I'm like, oh, you know what? We got to be extra careful today. So-and-so's there. Just be mindful, make sure that.
Yeah, I hear it.
You know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. Guys talk about it all the time. You know who's coming on the other end, and you know what to expect. And I love the reason why I asked you this, right? Because you said something. You said you're allowed to do your job, right? When you have a competent and cohesive company working with you, and you have guys that you can trust to do their jobs and be in the positions when they need to be there, and they can work on their own. It allows you to do your job, and a lot of times we find guys are overcompensating for the lack of participation from other people, right?
Right,
and so
100%.
Especially as a captain of a busy truck company, you can't have that environment, because if you do, it's not going to let you do what you're supposed to be doing, and that's where we have breakdown.
Yeah, and operationally, the captain's the internal, operations person until, the way it works, our battalion chiefs are initial incident commanders until the division chief shows up. Our division chief, again, is like our tour commander. There's one of them on every platoon. So internally, the start of the fire, if I'm at it, and, I'm supposed to be kind of the battalion chief's eyes on the inside. So if I have to be the one hooking ceilings or digging through couches and debris looking for victims, it doesn't work. And not that I don't do that still, but you know what I mean? To have crews that I know, I say, fellas, we got to get a search done. I know it's going to get done. It's not one of those deals like, oh, I searched Cap, we're good. Like, you only gone 4 seconds. You couldn't. He's like, well, I searched that room. Like, yeah, but what about the 7 others? Like that kind of stuff. And that comes with experience. That comes with training. It comes with who they worked for prior to coming to me. Sure. And, but I really truly want my people to succeed. That's the badge of honor that any fire officer should when a person on my crew that I, you know, taught, trained, teached, helped, promotes, and moves to the next level, it's the greatest honor going. As much as I hate to lose them, it's great, right? It means that I had an impact on their career.
Yes. What 100%. You always want your people to do better than you have.
100%, like your kids.
I do.
Just
like your kids. 100%, which they are our kids.
Right.
I agree with you. Something else you said, and you and I met through training. I mean, and I know training is a passion of yours. I know it's important to you to be up to snuff with the latest and to be proficient in your basic skills and all that. And I know that that's super important to you, but you made a comment before, and I wrote it down. You said new people a little bit at a time. And I think that that's a very profound statement when you break that down. And I kind of want to explore that with you a little bit, because I know you, with your longevity on the job and your experience, you are a mentor to, I'm sure, many on your job, with just not in your companies, but I'm sure other people that have moved on, like you're talking about, guys that have become more successful and move on and promote and things like that. But new people a little bit at a time to mentor, it's kind of a unique task, and to be in that position that you are with your years on the job, understanding that you can't take on the world. Like, you can only mentor so much at so much time, right?
Yeah.
Break that down for me a little bit, what you mean by new people a little bit at a time.
Yeah, so it's all about opportunities. It's opportunities to cover something. I'll use an example, and I do this often. We could be at any call, pick a call. We're at a building for, again, like a meat on the stove, burnt food type of call. We're waiting for the building superintendent to come reset the alarms. And so I'm standing around. I'm like, hey, what type of standpipe is that? Or,
right.
How do you tell what's the easiest way for you to figure out this building construction? Like, those little tiny, and people think you're messing with them, but I'm not. If you don't know the answer, I want to help you, and,
yes.
And I'm not. And I say it to them all the time. Hey, like standpipes, like especially some of our buildings still have the old school, like class 3 standpipe systems with the old cotton hose. Now they don't work anymore, but they're still there. And I think it's cool that they're still there, but
right.
And you teach, and then you do the us, them, both, right? Class 1's for us, class 2's for them, class 3's for both, right? And they'll never forget that. You know what I mean? And
yes.
So that's what I'm talking about. It's just little opportunities to do little, snippets of training. We were at last tour. We were at a gas leak call, and the same thing. We had it controlled. We had the gas shut off. We were just waiting for the utility, and I'm talking to one of the guys on the engine. I started asking him about, it's old Type 3 building. People call them taxpayers. Other parts of the country don't call them taxpayers. Whatever. But Type 3 building, apartments up above. It was like a dry cleaner or something on the first floor. But you see, I'm talking to him about the construction. How can he tell that what type of building construction this is? And the kids, it was a 3-minute conversation while we were waiting for something else to do. It doesn't all have to be these long 2-hour-long drill sessions, because then you lose them. We try to do what we can do. And generally, in my opinion, after lunch is their time. 1 o'clock to 4:30 is their time. I try, and obviously, we still have to go on calls, and now and again we have to do some drilling or something in the afternoon. But for the most part, like, give me the morning, you take the afternoon, and then
I get it.
The evening we'll figure it out. But I feel like if you're just constantly bombarding them and peppering them, they can't comprehend. And the longer you do it, and any instructor will tell you that you can kind of see. There's the kids that are always like, yep. Like,
he's checked out.
Yeah, don't answer. I'm not speaking for you to reply to me. I'm speaking for you to understand me, And
right.
So, like, yep, what? If you keep saying, yep, this, then why do I keep having to remind you? It's just, so if you're constantly teaching and drilling, I feel like sometimes you lose them. But
I think some of the best nuggets come from that front bumper talk, that after the fire hot wash from the back step before you even take your coat off. Those are the teaching and learning moments that are in an informal setting that usually hit harder than if you're sitting in a classroom.
Right, 100%. And on the scene, when we're the RIT, like, nobody likes being a fast team because it's boring. Well, it's a perfect opportunity to be engaged, to be an active in terms of, engaged fast team. We refer to them as fast, but engaged RIT team. And
on a fire ground.
Yeah,
that's
the
best
fire ground.
part.
Standing there, hey,
yeah, it's real.
Look at what's happening. Oh, you just heard on the radio, the line just made the second floor. The line just made the attic. Look at the conditions. Look at how the smoke just changed. Look at this. Look at that. And you could see everybody, not just the newest people, their eyes kind of like, oh, yeah, oh, I see it now. I understand. Because, busy companies are usually the ones inside while that's happening.
Yeah, they don't get a chance to watch.
I never view the fast team as punishment. I mean, obviously I don't want to stand around like a shepherd, but you don't have to. If you're actually actively engaged within reason, we don't, our RIT team will throw some ladders, soften the target, and then kind of hunch back because we do have a mission there. We're not just there to, you have to be ready to go. And we just went over some fast team stuff yesterday on shift I had a guy on overtime. He was on the engine, and we were over the rip bag, went over some different things. How we would, just some different down firefighter removal techniques quick. And it was 15 minutes, me, him, and another guy on the floor. And you could see, he's like, oh, that's great. I never knew that before. I never, we were using, a certain tool that I carry that I put in, I put in our fast bag also, our rip pack also, from a person and equipment but I don't want to. They're not sponsoring the show. I don't want to give them any.
I don't care. Whatever. I don't care. That doesn't matter to me.
I know you don't care.
That doesn't matter to me. But I totally get what you're saying though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's it. Little snippets, and then it's informal, and it's fun. The building construction talks are my favorite because we have so much. We have 3,000 square foot wood frame homes.
Right.
Fire escapes, all the stuff, then we'll have factories still, like we talked about before. You have the Northeast taxpayers, which are the type 3s with businesses and apartments, but then we have the everywhere else taxpayers everywhere, the strip malls, and so there's always opportunities, and there's always, you should always kind of be learning. And most of the time it's a question. Hey, Jared, what do you think? Tell me, what's that space between the two windows called? Oh, I don't know, Cap. It's a spandrel. Oh,
right.
You'll never forget it. You know what I mean? That's it. I'm not trying to bust your chops. I'm not trying to embarrass you. And that's why I'm not calling you out about it. I just asked you a question,
Well, and that goes back to what I was saying, because you have to get to know your people in your companies. And when you get to know your people, you understand how to get through to them. And, what I'm finding, and I've had several issues now with some guys that become very standoffish right away as soon as you try to help them. And there was no malicious intent to the way I approach them, other than, hey, next time you might want to think about it this way. And it's like, why are you coming at me like that? What? Yeah. And I shake my head and I go, no, man, I'm trying to help you. Like, if you don't want the help, that's fine. But understand that the world is not sunshine and rainbows, man. We're gonna have conversations, and I'm not gonna shy away from seeing something on the fire ground, knowing it can be done better or cleaner or more crisp. And why would I not say something?
Of course.
It has to be received, though. You got to receive it.
Yeah, and sometimes it might be the delivery.
That's right.
I'm a wise ass. I'm always throwing shots at people, and
that's right.
Right, but sometimes it's the delivery, and sometimes it's just who knows what their upbringing was, who they worked for before. Maybe
100%.
Their criticism, they're not taking it as like, it's not criticism, dude. I'm just trying to make you better. I'm just trying to help you, and
trying to help you.
Yeah, and it seems now with our job now, more people want to learn than don't. You know what I mean? So
I love it.
People are always.
I love it.
Everybody I have conversation, and I could be totally full of shit. They're just doing it because they respect the fact that I'm a captain with 26 years in the biz, but more people will sit down and just listen and go, hey, Cap, thanks. I didn't know that. I forgot about that from the academy, and you can't remember everything. They throw so much at you early in your career. And unfortunately, because of the way the curriculum is, and this is nobody's fault, I guess, but you learn it this way. And then I'm teaching, and I'm like, well, I'll teach you the real way when you get out there.
Yeah.
And I don't want, not getting into the politics of any of that shit. But
you know what's really important? I agree with you 100%. People, the guys today are engaged when you engage them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you as a boss, as a leader, as an administrator, as the command staff, whatever position you're in, understand that delivery does matter and that your people want to know. They want to learn. You have to find a way to get through to them. Maybe your delivery method needs to change from what it used to be.
Sure.
But if you can hold court, man, I promise you guys will put their phones down. They'll pick their heads up, they'll look at you, and they'll listen when you engage and when you buy into them. And I think that that's an important part of the process, is that when they see a captain is willing to go in on them by taking his time to spend with the people on a level that's mutual, there's a respect that comes across, and I think that's how you deliver.
Yeah, and just yesterday we used the video that from that Clifton, New Jersey, that explosion.
Shit.
Like offline, we could talk about that or whatever. I'm showing the guys the video, and they're like, I'm like, how do you handle that? You pull up on the express with 33, and this is going on. The simple answer is like, fuck, I wish I took the day off. Right, I'm going home. I'm going home sick, but
I got there before first and I just happened to see the header.
Oh yeah,
and I was driving, and I'm like, whoa, look at this. At first, I thought it was a building fire, and then I knew kind of the area, and I'm like, no, that's a highway. I go, that's Route 3. I go, that's got to be a tractor trailer or some type of truck on fire, bus or something. Yeah. So I got up there, and I ended up standing right on the overpass, and I filmed the first 9 minutes of this thing. Yeah, so I have the entire footage. Yeah.
And I saw the National Fire Radio thing on it, but
I caught 4 different explosions off that truck, and the one that I did not release, we had one video get leaked, believe it or not, through other I shared a video,
of course,
in a chat group with a couple of my guys, and I didn't tell them don't share this, and of course that's the one video that went absolutely batshit crazy.
Right.
But we slowed that one down. We enhanced it where the chauffeur almost got hit by flying debris, which looked to be a barrel of whatever the fuck lit off.
Yeah.
And it actually hit the front of the ladder truck, and that truck. So just for clarity, that truck repositioned twice before that.
Oh, really? Right? Okay. The one that's kind of near the median and the
ladder 2.
Okay,
yeah, and they were still almost 300 feet away from that tractor trailer when that barrel lit off, and that barrel bounced off the front bumper of that truck. The chauffeur is very, very lucky.
Wow,
very lucky.
But
that could have happened anywhere. Could have happened anywhere. Nothing wrong to their chagrin. That thing had placards on it from every type of hazard you could imagine. I think was on that truck.
And it just went south.
Did you see that video where it exploded off the side and went across to the
all the way
westbound
across?
side?
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Yeah. And what was wild about that was when you look at it again and again, that was a flammable explosion because the fire remained across the road. It wasn't just a vapor that lit off.
Right.
It was actually flammables that blew. So that boom.
Yeah, something
wild,
bloody or whatever. Yeah. And it was, so you show the video to the guys and you're like, what do you do? And here's where we get in this mindset. Oh, we're on a highway, so we got to run blockers. We got to position, even for fires, right? Now you pull up in position like you normally would for any kind of routine truck fire, car fire, whatever. Now, again, not knowing obviously what the videos that I saw, it was already well involved. Obviously, we're going to take a little different approach, but you get into the wrong spot because you're not thinking what could go on here, and then you're losing some guys or worse. So we get that. It's the same thing with natural gas calls or CO calls. Maybe don't park in front of the building. Well, what do you mean? Oh, well, you ever seen a natural gas explosion? They don't happen often, but when they do, they're bad, man. It's just about little lessons, and a kid with 4 months out of the academy shouldn't know that because they learn that stuff, but it's just on top of so much more. You get 18 hours of hazmat training and 3 hours of fire behavior. You know what I mean? And
Sean, those are those nuances that come with experience.
Sure.
It's not focusing here, it's focusing outside. Right. And I think that's where experience matters on this job. And you can't, I'm a firm believer you can educate, train, you can watch all the videos and training out there, take every class you want. You still have to go do it. And that is how the experience is gained. You can quicken your knowledge.
Sure.
You can quicken your theory, but how do you quicken your experience? You can't.
You can't, And
you can't.
And that's an unfortunate part of our biz. You know what I mean? All the it's the drills at the fire training center where those steel
Yeah.
buildings and the hay and pallet fires, and they're great and they have their place. And I love running. I love doing that type of training and teaching, but like real buildings burn, and like it's something you can't get enough of. And that's where a little thing at guys like, oh, the engine parked funny, spotted themselves funny. So I go up and say something and they think I'm busting their balls. Like, no, man, I'm just telling you, like, here's why. 99.9% of the time you're going to get away with it, but I'm not willing to risk you for the 0.1% of the time you don't, and it's just so simple. And it's just part of, like you said, it's experience and it's knowledge. And it's also people are being afraid to say something.
Yeah.
I'm not busting your balls by correcting you. I'm doing my job, because guess what?
Let's just have a conversation.
Yeah, in 5 years, I'm gone probably, and hopefully you remember something I told you and you pass it on to somebody and
that's right.
And they go,
Yeah. So I want to ask you on your, I always we could talk fire all day long, but I'm also interested in Sean Eagen, my friend, and I see your hop shirt there.
Yeah.
And I know that you have found, you've always enjoyed beer. You and I've shared many, and I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. What are you doing today, man? Like, what's occupying your time outside of the firehouse?
Yeah. So I during COVID when there was nothing to do, I stupid on YouTube and I'm like, oh,
garage brewing.
I can make beer. I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
And then it spiraled or snowballed, I guess, to, maybe I want to open a brewery. I don't know. I still want to teach.
Cool.
And then I'm like, I don't know. Let me go work at one. So I started working almost last September, October at a local brewery here in Orchard Park. It's called First Line Brewing. And two young guys are the owners. One is a volunteer firefighter in Orchard Park. His grandpa was on the job in Philly. The other kid's father-in-law was a Buffalo guy. And they just wanted to, they're young dudes, my kids' age, that we had that entrepreneurial mindset, and they're like, boom, we're doing this. And they've been open. It'll be open 4 years now. So anyway, it's like their life is changing. They open another place, and this was a tough year for me in terms of, it was my son's last year of high school. So there was a lot of like stuff I refused to miss. I wasn't going to work for this. I wasn't going out of town for that. So I'm staying and I'm getting every damn volleyball game I could see. He's playing in college, but it's not the same, So
right. I get it.
Anyways, I'm friends with both of their one's father-in-law and the other one's dad, because he was my daughter's softball coach for years. And I'm just talking to him like, if they ever need help, I don't know how to brew on that level. I make 5-gallon batches, not 185-gallon batches,
Right.
But I'd be happy to like help these guys out.
Sure.
The way our work schedule goes, especially in the wintertime, you get out, most of my teaching and drills are at night now. You go work for the county, teaching at the academy or whatever. It's in the evening. And I'm like, and then the owner the owners were the brewers. And then the one owner, Shane, was kind of doing the lion's share of the brewing. The other guy, Mike, does the books, and, but Shane's wife was pregnant. So he called me like, hey man, can you come help out? And, so I said, yeah. And it was cool. A very wicked learning curve, huge, like literally like I used 11 pounds of grain. They use 500, you know what I mean? And
right.
And so we started and it was cool because they right away let me get in some feedback on like the recipes and trying some new beers. And it was great. And it's been a lot of fun. And then it started like stress me out because all of a sudden, like, man, I can only work as much as I can work. Like I'm only there 12 hours a week, maybe, not a lot. Some days I'm there 3-4 hours. On days we brew, it's like a 6 or 7 hour day. But I was like, man, I can't do this in this vein. We're not going to ever. We're kind of treading water. We're making a lot of beer. We're changing some things up, but we're always behind. So luckily they hired a full time like head brewer, Russ, his name is, and very experienced, very knowledgeable. And him and I quickly became friends. And I text him more than anybody else. Like we're just always busting each other's chops. And but it's a lot of fun. It's like it's like I said when I talked to Pip, it's like cathartic. You know what I mean? There's stress if you fuck up, obviously, because it costs, you know,
Sure.
$800 a batch
Yeah,
to
it's
make
not
this
11. It's not 11 pounds of grain.
right,
It's 500.
yeah, so it's a lot of money if you make a mistake, but you know, go there and you do your thing, you pop some music on, and you know, it's just the routine like anything else, and at the end you make people happy because you made some beers, but it's a lot of fun.
Experience matters.
Yeah, it's and I really truly love it. Like the coolest thing is like my son's graduation party was Saturday, so the guys, the owners were generous enough to give me 2 kegs. They donated 2 kegs
Sure.
to the party, and I'm nervous, right? Like everybody there knows I fucking made it, so if it doesn't get drank, I'm like, first of all, like you know. So I brought a Mexican lager and a new IPA that we released, and I'm like, well, let's just see what happens. My family is the macro brewery drinking kings of the world, right? Like Labatt Blue. We went there when you were here. Labatt Blue
Absolutely.
Light. We put an addition.
It's Buffalo, New York, man.
We put 6 additions on John Labatt's house, my family, you know. So
I'm sure
to get them to taste anything that's not, you know, a fine Canadian Pilsner that's world headquarters is in Buffalo is difficult. So I bought some of that still just to have, and you know, it was cool. So I'm watching people, you know, people drink it, and I kind of, you know, people's faces don't lie, like we talked about earlier, you know. So I just be eyeballing them, like side eyeing them to see the reaction, and well, it was cool, you know. But it's a lot of fun, and you know,
what is it for you though? Right, it's a challenge. You walked into something you were doing on a home level as a hobby.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And then you went to like the majors, and like when you think about that, I mean, how old are you?
I just turned 50 this year.
50.
Yeah.
At 50 years old, you're learning something brand new.
Like
that has got to be.
Yeah.
That's my point, right? And like that for me, you know, that was a big thing with like National Fire Radio when I started this a couple of years ago. Was I knew nothing about any of this. I still don't know anything about it.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to take on a new endeavor like that, I think it's so important to have something in your life that challenges you, where you're learning every single day. And it's not just life isn't just firefighting. I mean, that's all we talk about on this podcast. But I think everything else accompanies what firefighting is for us. And for you, starting over at 50 to learn a new trade that maybe after you retire from the fire department, you can go into that more heavily and really dive into it. Like, it's just exciting. And I think people need to find something that they're passionate about outside of the fire service,
of course,
and go in on it, because I think it's important.
It keeps you well-rounded, you know, and that's exactly it. It's you can be passionate. Like the fire service can be what you do and not who you are. For me, it's both, right? I still love to teach. I love to, you know, I didn't do a lot this year because of what I just said. I refused to miss anything this year. We were in Nashville for volleyball, Chicago for volleyball,
prioritize your
Pittsburgh,
priorities.
Cleveland, Florida, like, and it's cool. Next year he's in college, and he's going to college, you know, 20 minutes down the road. So my time will be a little freer, you know, and so I look forward to kind of getting back out there in that vein. But yeah, you know, doing this, it totally challenged me, because I was like, I think I know how to make, you know, the difference between, you know, the amateur home brewer and the professional commercial brewer was night and day. Like it's all water and grain and hops, right? But bullshit, you know what I mean? It was, I was flabbergasted at how little I actually knew, you know, like these guys eyeball volumes and like, oh, there's about, you know, 6 barrels in there right now. I'm like, oh, is there? All right, sweet. Like I have graduated.
Okay.
Like if I need 3.7 gallons, my recipe says I'm like, you know, like this, trying to make sure I got a pitcher and there, and it has to be, you know, I use 9 pounds of grain. Well, they don't want to have open grain sacks laying around, so they try to build all their recipes using full bags. It's cost effective. It's sense. Super cool. And like you said, it probably, it didn't take the fun out of, like, I have a beer, my little brewery in my house is on the other side of my basement here. This is my wife's like craft room, office room. And I have a beer that's fermenting right now that I'm looking forward to trying. That's the coolest thing, is I make most of the recipes at our house. Me and Russell talk about it, work on a recipe. I'll brew it here on a small scale. We take it in, we taste it, see if we like it, make some minor tweaks, and then we'll we'll scale up the recipe and make it for the masses, and
I love it.
yeah,
I love it. I think it's
super
fun.
cool, man.
It's fun.
And I still have, it's on the part-time basis that it is, I have total freedom. Like I was gonna go in today, and then my son was talking, it's gonna be a nice day. I'm like, screw it, we're gonna go golfing. So me and him are going golfing in a little while, and
good.
And it was it's awesome. And I am learning the business, which is, probably going to keep me from ever opening one, and I just be content to work for somebody. Dude, these guys, and I give these kids, Shane and Mike, I give them a ton of credit because they're just constantly trying to grow. And they opened another restaurant it'll be 2 years ago, and they're opening another one in 2 weeks. And, they're, I think 28 and 27, like it's awesome, and it's like, I want to see them do well because they're good people and they're good families, and the brand is awesome too. You walk in and all our beers, like Heritage or Alpha Bravo Citrus, and like all of our beers have that theme name, the name of something along the lines of first responders or veterans. Black Hat was a Pilsner beer. One of the first like total my design recipe was Black Hat, for the back jump seat firefighters, Black Hat Pilsner.
I love it.
And that became a flagship beer, that we're going to be making all the time. So it's super cool. And, if I had to do it to put food on the table, that's the nicest thing. I mean, obviously they're paying me to do it, but it's not.
But it's the personal challenge. You're challenging yourself with something new, and you're
awesome.
You think about like how much sharper you become in the firehouse when you have exciting things happening outside the firehouse, and like you're challenging yourself with something new, and it has taken over the priority of your interest. And I know how that works. And it's not that firefighting doesn't matter.
No, it
actually enhances. It actually enhances it because your focus outside of the firehouse can be elsewhere, and then when you're back, you're all in again. And it's like it's fighting that. But I just love at 50 years old, Sean Eagen, that you are challenging yourself with something new.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think the best part about it is you're wearing a beer T-shirt today and not a fire department T-shirt.
True.
So giddy up, man. Those navy blue T-shirts might even out one day with some other colors.
My wife's happy because I got too many damn blue shirts. She said she's
100%.
So 100%. This is like, I don't know, Heather Gray. I don't know. It's not blue.
Yep.
But I said, yeah, it's really cool. It's a perfect gig and it's fun.
Good for you.
Like it's always another conversation. So now I have two cool jobs that people want to talk about. You know what I mean?
That's right.
People love talking about what it's like in the firehouse or being a firefighter. Sometimes they go down that crazy road. They want to know, so where's call? Like, but now it's like,
sure.
Oh, you made beer? Like, well, tell me about it. What kind of,
Yeah.
So it's super cool. And again, it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of, now that they hired Russ as the head brewer and I'm his assistant, it's a lot less pressure on me. It's still there.
Awesome.
But he's there. Yeah. He's there every single day.
But you welcome the challenge
I love
too.
it, yeah.
And I think that's awesome.
And I get, some good beers out of it.
Discount on some beer. Yeah. That's good.
So
nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, my man, the time always goes quick on this show, but I just it was a lot of fun catching up with you.
Yeah, always. I love doing it.
It's long overdue. I'd love to get up there. First Line Brewing, right?
Yeah,
you said?
Come on up.
Orchard Park?
Yep, it's right by that.
That's where, isn't that where the Bills play? Orchard Park?
We're about 10 minutes from the stadium.
Okay.
So come up when we take care of your one of your New Jersey teams. When the Giants don't come to Buffalo this year, but the Jets do.
Yeah. Well, do you guys do events at First Line?
Sure, of course. Yeah. It's awesome.
Why don't we do an event?
Let's do it. It'd be perfect. It'd be huge.
We've been talking about doing we haven't done one in many years now before COVID.
They'd be all in on it too. I promise you that. It's nowhere near as big as the place we were before, but that's okay.
We don't need
it that big.
Yeah,
it's a perfect.
Well,
actually, we could talk offline, but it's a perfect.
Yeah, we'll explore that.
Like, what do you call it? Like, nice little setting. It's a perfect size to do like an on-tapped event because the speaker can be standing up there talking doesn't need to have a microphone and all the other nonsense, so it's just more of the conversation. It's a perfect size venue for it, and
cool.
It would be wildly successful. I'm sure it would.
Well, let's look at that. Yeah. I think there's something to it. I'd love to put something together, so we could do that for sure.
I know they'd be in.
Sean Eagen, thank you, man. Buffalo Fire Department. Sean Eagen, a good friend of mine with his beautiful blue eyes that my wife is in love with. I appreciate you, man. It was very good seeing you today.
You too, brother. I appreciate it. Always happy to be on. I love talking to you guys, you and the boys.
You're the best, dude. Thank you, man. Hang out right here. Don't go anywhere. Let me sign off, and I'll come right back, okay?
Sounds good.
Guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the National Fire Radio Podcast. I've been on vacation for the last few weeks, so I'm trying to remember my tagline as I sign off today, man. But I do want to challenge you this, right? Catch up with a friend that you haven't talked to in a while. That's why Sean's on today. Sean's a buddy of mine who I haven't talked to in quite some time, and it's always fun to just pick up the phone and make a phone call. In this case, I get to talk to people on video and record it for the world to listen to. But thanks for tuning into the podcast today. And like I say every time at the end of every episode, take this conversation, take it back to the firehouse and talk about it, because when we're talking about the job, we are always making the job better. We'll see you at the next one. Jeremy, National Fire Radio.
National Fire Radio.